So hello and welcome again to Women Matters. This is the edition of May 2018. And today we want to continue in some way what we talked about last time. Last time we talked about the inner work which is needed to make changes in the world. And today we want to go from the inside out into the world and see what we could and can or already do in the outside world. So today we are in 5, seems to be, and I ask everybody to present themselves. I am Heidi Hörnlein. I'm here in Italy, and I'm the founder of the Wisdom Factory, and I'm very, very happy that people come and talk with me, because it's not only that we gather together, but we learn something. And I really love learning. This is my, let's say, my life purpose, learning ever more. So that's about me. Who comes next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Luna Ciavelli, and I'm getting some feedback. I'm not sure if you guys are hearing that. No, okay, good. I'm a systemic family constellations facilitator and a holistic health coach. And I also love learning and really believe it's important to have conversations like we do here. And so I'm always really thrilled to be here and be with you all. And I have Chili here with me as well today. She's gracing me with her presence, which is really lovely.
All right. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm Monia Fruviert from Vienna, Austria, center of Europe. And I'm a translator, and I have devoted my life to an integral presence and consciousness. And yeah, I guess that's about what I like to say about myself. Any questions? No. Okay.
I'm Tammy. I'm in Vancouver. It's my birthday today. I don't really know how to explain myself in a simple frame. But what I will say is that I think that we're in a really powerful transition time in history, and that it's important for us to do our inner work, but also to work in the world with each other and to really look at where we are in the world today and how we can transition from how we can help to shift how systems work and engage our collective intelligence. So conversations like this are incredibly important so that we can understand each other and understand more of what's happening in the world and how we can be a part of the transition that's definitely happening. That's me.
Yeah, me, Gertraud. I'm from Germany, north of Frankfurt, and my work in the world is being coached, and I trained start. Tammy is a constant from business lead. So yeah, that's from me.
I think somebody has the broadcast on. You need to mute the broadcast or put the earphones on, because otherwise come feedback. And Gertraud, I couldn't hear you very well. Maybe you try again. From the second or third phrase on, I didn't understand a lot. I don't know how, if it was on my side or no. Okay. So maybe you stay again.
I will find my earplugs, so you just go on and then we'll see.
All right. So I was wondering, are we talking how to bring resilience into the world, or our ideals, or what are, Heidi, what did you plan about bringing what into the world?
So when I try to find a title, I make it as wide and broad as possible so that we can fill in what comes up. I mean, resilience is really a good thing, but also do some, some people are activists for something. I think Tammy is a little bit in this direction. And I know about Gertrud that she has written a book about new ways how businesses can work, which is definitely a way to change in the world. And, in this place, in this direction, whoever wants to jump in and share, it's fine. What I'm doing in the world at the moment, sitting in rural Italy, being on my computer and talking with you and other people, it's not really, it's a big world because we are in different continents and we reach some people. It depends. Is it a big contribution? Is it not? Maybe I could do more, but that's what I'm doing at the moment. So.
Gertrud again? Oh, I also have an echo.
The echo doesn't seem to be coming through on my end. Gertrude, did you want to do your intro?
Okay, I hope you can hear me better now. Great. I'm living north of Frankfurt in Germany, and I'm a coach, consultant, and trainer. And I'm working with 8 colleagues, and our focus is appreciation, and that is what we're working with leaders in companies and organizations, and support them in coming from appreciation as basis for their work. So we have written a book that I translated. It's in German, but we're going to translate it. It's Appreciation, How to Create Flow and Meet the Numbers. This is impulses and practices for creating a successful collaboration. That's me. And I'm a mother of 3 adult daughters and 2 grandchildren.
So who wants to share what they are doing in the world and what they think might be useful?
Maybe I can start.
Is it Luna that you have something? No, you have earbuds. I don't know where that is.
I think if we mute ourselves, if we don't speak, that might be the best solution. I would like to start. I just put down the phone in a coaching session. That is a leader who comes from the integral world. And she just got a promotion, and how to do the work inside a firm, not only for yourself, but how to apply it to the everyday's work, to leadership, to and we have in one part really going deep, really doing the work for herself and applying it to conversations with staff in meeting forms. How can I do that? That people feel appreciated and do the work that's needed. So how to be effective and appreciative, or appreciative while being effective. So because most people, they separate those two and say, okay, we talk about the numbers and then we can put some pink sauce on it. But just really having that coming from there, from that deep appreciation for ourselves and others, and working from there and really making a difference in the world and in the workplace, so that people, many years ago, I said, what I'm up to is that people love to go to work and have that as a real useful, inspiring basis. And so they don't have to think about work-life balance, but really have their life in balance with all the parts, and doing a work that inspires them and really does something that is valuable for the world. And when that happens, this is really like joy bubbling up, and really feeling like this is how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I love your piece of the work, Gertrude, because it's so fundamental, and it also shows us seeing each other, right? It's really demonstrating us, really witnessing what each other brings, and I think that it's as important as breathing. And in the last few years, I've been really working with a bunch of different communities and community groups, and Gertrude and Anna last year helped to put together a proposal for the Global Challenges Foundation, really centered around collaboration. The inspiration behind that is that the problems that we have are so multidimensional, interpenetrating, they're all connected, and we really have to, even to understand the scale of issues we have, it's a lot. And I think that also the work that you do, Heidi, in bringing people together to have these conversations, and in shining light on people that are doing good work in the world, I think that that's critical. And I feel that too. That's one of the things that I'm doing in the world. And it's not easy, because I think that there's internal work we need to do to be able to really understand what's happening. And it can become overwhelming. But not one person can bring the solution as we face multi-systemic challenges. I think one of the first steps is to get together and to really understand the context that we're in, and connect with others so that we can collaborate and break down silos between people, because there's a fundamental shift that's happening both in consciousness and in the world, and that needs to be understood and felt and experienced and expressed. So I'm in that space, and the Global Challenges Collaboration is the proposal that we put in, and we're definitely still in the growing pains, because there's a sense of people wanting to know what to do, but it's my belief that we have to discover that step by step, conversation by conversation, because each new person is bringing in new information to be able to understand. So it's a process, and I feel like there's many, many, many groups all over the world that are convening and gathering right now. And so I really want to be a part of that process and support that process as we kind of see each other and figure out how to support each other in the work of transition.
I think I actually want to ask everyone a question today, because I actually feel like I'm really in a process right now of deeply considering what it is to have something on the inside that wants to be birthed into the world, that wants to come into the world and work in the world with people. And I'm really curious about what each of your processes have been in doing that work. So in sort of the genesis of your work, and then what your process is to birth that work into the world. So to bring that from the inside to the out, to the world.
All right, may I start? Being trained as a translator, that's what I keep doing all my life. I keep translating, and it changed now from words to states of consciousness, structures of consciousness. And again, it's just a short time, but I'm mentioning Ken Wilber because his map really helped me get a balance of what is outside and what is inside. As a person who went through all of the New Age, there may be lots of confusions and just confusing facts with ideas and ideals with what's possible. And just before we started, I went to get one of the books of Wilber, which is about integral life practice. So it's actually you practice your whole life. And right now, as Tammy said, I am at my age also in a state of transition. Things happen that I never expected they would happen at my age. And I try to give most of my work now to younger people because I feel they need this challenge and they need the joy of this work I've been doing in organizing the salons, the integral salons in Vienna. And as I mentioned before, we started, most important to my work is the awareness of resilience of the three bodies we have, like the causal body, the subtle body, and the gross body. And if one of them is lacking, everything is lacking. And I just started now with 1 minute exercises for the causal body. And I just want to mention the book I take that out from. It's a 21st century blueprint for physical health, emotional balance, mental clarity, and spiritual awakening. Copyright 2008, Ken Wilber, among others. So this is something I resort to. And I also want to get it to other people because I found it a very, very convenient tool to balance your mind and to really be creative. Does that answer your question, Luna? I have no idea. Okay, good. Thank you.
It's really great to hear about what tools are in your toolbox and what you're referencing. So yes.
Yeah, well, maybe we
Thank
could
you.
just open all our toolboxes and share them. That would be a nice idea. Okay.
Thank you.
I can come in here, toolboxes. I feel I have opened so many toolboxes in my life, and maybe I never really perfectionated one of these tools, but I feel that I have at my disposition a huge amount of possibilities, and I'm struggling to get it together. I mean, I could begin with, I studied in university linguistics, mathematics, even a little bit physics, but I thought it's not really what's for me. And then I did classical singing. I went into professional choir, and then I came to Italy to study Italian opera, and I did concerts. And then I went in the countryside and learned a lot about plants and animals and how much you can learn about humans just only to watch your dogs and your cats. What you thought it is, strange in humans, you see it in the cats too, like envy and competition and stuff. I was really amazed. So I learned a lot about nature. And then, I went to do the NLP, and I've had the Integral Map 2, which was the first big opening, because finally I thought, somehow I knew these things, but finally there is somebody who puts it in words, and so I can get it more clear in my head. That was, for 20 years, I really was excited about this possibility to see the world more clearer and more comprehensively, and then see other people struggling with, making meaning of things. And if you had the Integral Map, it would be so much easier to understand, So that was a big thing. And I did counseling, Gestalt counseling, and I did feminine power coaching and conscious uncoupling coaching and calling and the one coaching and, all this psychological stuff, which I'm really, really excited about. And I have this big house here, and I had in 30 years almost I'm here, I had so many people here, and I thought often it is like an open psychiatric institution, because so many different people I could study. It was amazing. It's always good that they went away after a while, because otherwise, oh gosh. Anyway, that was too. And then, and lately I'm excited about Jordan Peterson and all this psychological and archetypical learning, which I get, and it's a similar download as with Ken Wilber, that I think, somehow in me something is knowing that, and now finally there are words for them. And so, in the meantime, I can teach singing, I can develop the voices of people, I can do coaching with them, I can do this and this and this and this. So for me is, how do I get these tools together to really effectively do something which reaches people, in a way that, how can I say, effectively, that, it's nice to work with one people at a time. That's nice. But I have the feeling I want to give out more, but not sure how to reach more people, how to do that. So.
Oh, well, with the Wisdom Factory, you are doing it already. So don't put your light under the shovel. Actually, your question is hard to answer in 3 sentences. I could say when I'm coming to a block, I can decide what I want to do with that, and I can back up or go beyond, like throwing your head over the wall and then jumping after it. And I always chose to throw the hat and jump after it. So it's like, I mean, there's some roads I don't want to go, but if it's a block that I see it has some value for me in it to go beyond, I did that. So so my life path is a little bit like, I'm not singing, but you know, like from the outside it looks kind of not straight. And there were things like working in a dietetic center. I've studied nutrition and home economics. So working on nutrition consultancy and learning consultancy as well. Then you have binge eaters with 140 kilograms, and they say, well, losing weight is not a problem. I've lost my weight 3 times, but keeping it down, that's, how can you support me? And then realizing that those people, there is something that has to change in their lives to reach that. So I started therapy, body therapy training, because you know, like with telling them what they have to eat, that's not the point anymore. And or then later working with I've led for nursing homes everything that was not nursing itself, so the facility management. And then I see that I started with the recipes. What can we do? Healthy food for elderly people. And then I realized if the people don't get along in the kitchen and, you know, all this stuff. So I was more into what do they need to do a good job and then do the good work. So it was always that I came to a block of what I learned doesn't solve what or that is needed to solve those problems or to really make a difference. And so after the consultancy, I did the therapy training and at last then coaching training from basic to master. Like, it's needed to do good work. And so I have some formal trainings like the studies, and I studied facility management as well. So I have that technical, natural science background. But when it comes to people, that's not enough. So I got more and more interested in how people work. What do they need to really do a good job and be content with what they do? And one of the last things I did was really getting into the brain, how the brain works, the brain science. And that is one of the pieces of our book, where we created a streetlight model to say how to use your brain, do not brain and buttons or own logic. So yeah.
That last part about the streetlight model, you were coming in and out a little bit. So we couldn't quite hear you.
Being interested in what makes people tick, how they relate to themselves and others, how they can do meaningful work. And that led me to learning more about the brain, how it functions, and what does that say about how we react and how we can use it effectively and in coherence, the right left hemispheres with the whole body, with the heart, and to have more options to live the life they want to live, myself and the others.
So rich. For me, it's been really difficult to birth the work, to be honest. So it's a good question, Luna. And I think that it's just to trust and to reach out and ask for help. That's been my method. And you know, another big piece that I'm birthing right now is the alphabet code, which I know I've mentioned in this space before. It was about hanging, and where it's placed in a word has a specific meaning. And from that arises a constellation of meaning that, surprisingly and shockingly, for each word, you can feel that it makes sense. And it was channeled. I just perceived it. It's not something that I created. And so it's an open question, how to bring that sort of work into the world. And I think that it has great power to kind of to reorient us to our purpose, because that's what it points to, is purpose. And it's kind of big. So it feels like I'm kind of stewarding this body of knowledge in a world that needs it. And yet I am challenged to know how to really bring it into the world. And part of my biggest challenge actually is that the systems that we are in, I see beyond the systems. I see the new paradigm. I'm already in it. But the world hasn't really matched. The world isn't quite there yet. And so I go by feel and do my best to show up in the present moment where I am, and best be myself, so that I can listen to that quiet voice inside to know what next steps to take. And yeah, it's not easy. It's you know, living by feel And I think it's one of the things my friend Doug Breitbart, who's in the Global Challenges collaboration space, he says, go into the roar. And what that means is, if you're lions when they're hunting, the eldest lions roar, but they're not the fastest. And so you kind of counterintuitively just go into the fear, because that's where that's where the best chance of survival is. And so I've been really feeling into, okay, well, I'm a little scared about putting it all out there and being kind of out there, because the alphabet code, for example, is, and to just push through. And there's Anna.
There is Anna almost.
She's coming through.
So, Tammy, what I'm wondering is, will the world have to adapt to your vibration, or is there an intermediate possibility for your work?
The translator is asking.
I'm not sure. Hi, Anna. Nice to see you.
I'm so sorry that I'm late, but anyway.
You're muted.
Oh.
Well, I think that when people dive into the alphabet code, that I think it does change. It does change a person's perceptions. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a little bit of both. And we are all changed by each other anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was driving at. By being in your beingness, that's the only way I can formulate it. But by being in your beingness, Tolle said, in the here and now, but more than that. So there are probably many other ways of reorienting yourself. And I guess coming together and comparing those possibilities might be a good idea, because the Integral crowd now is also trying to contact like-minded people, but not who haven't read Wilber at all, but still are on a similar way. And yeah, so it's just like when I studied comparative religions, I found out that actually they all point to a certain way. So it doesn't really matter which religion you really adhere to, you come to the center. And I was wondering, why do you think your alphabet code was channeled? What is the necessity for it? Right now, right here.
It tells a story of who we are and why we're here, mm-hmm. as well as being a way for each of us to develop our consciousness in a way that maps to the isness of the world, the beingness of life, and I think it's a tool to wake up. It's so surprising, essentially. It's surprising that it would make sense. And so it forces us to consider that the world is far more complex and beautiful and intricate and meaningful than we currently think and feel.
And where
And where
are you now?
are you now?
What is?
What's that?
Have you written a book?
Have you written a book? Or
I hear an echo all the time. At what stage are you in your work? So what are you birthing?
Are you birthing?
Or hatching an egg, or what?
I'm definitely birthing, and I certainly have some writing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that more powerful is to share it in conversation with people. So there's a direct transmission, because it's a lot of information, and people can ask questions, and it's the process of understanding it that I think is most powerful in the moment, to have the insights. And yeah, I'm working with a few people who are interested in supporting, including Luna. And yeah, so yes, some writing, some Harry van der Velde has created a graphic that kind of brings it into one image. And yeah, I just hosted a conversation about it last week, where I went through the alphabet code, and then we went into words, because that's where it's really exciting, is when you take it into words and you have that resonant sense of the truth of it, or the I don't know, truth is tricky, but that was a good step. So I'm wanting to have more conversations with people who are interested to explore it, and to be a part of what it is to unpack the story through words.
So it's actually in the oral tradition.
More so, there's more power in it that way than I'm being forced to write it down, and the writing is coming along, but it's really in the transmission of it in a more direct sense that I think the power lies.
Okay.
But I wanted to also give Anna a chance to say hi and see if her sound is now up and working.
Is it up now? No?
You may have to restart your device and rejoin.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
No, now we've got you.
Okay. Thank you.
Before Anna speaks, Tammy, you have to mute yourself, because when you're so when somebody else speaks.
Well, it's lovely to be here, even though I've missed 3/4 of it. I'd love to know what you were focusing on. The alphabet code, I know a little bit about, because I've seen the graphic and heard Tammy talk about it, and it is quite extraordinary, the way that it's manifested. But other than that, what was the topic that you were talking about? Or should I just dive in? What would...
Well, actually,
so
Anna, it's about how you bring your work into the world, or your essence, or your ideal. Okay?
Well, that's lovely. I heard you, Mona, talking about something about being, and I think for me, that is where I hope to connect with people, through just being who I am. And, that's actually, it's not an easy thing to be who you are. So for me, that's really quite an achievement. It's quite a work to try to become more and more who I really am, and to manifest that in groups and with one-to-one. So it isn't work in the sense that it produces something tangible that you can look at or read, no pictures. It's really very much an experience of being. And yeah, that's where I would put hopefully, my work into the world. Yeah. Thank you.
And Luna had asked us a question around how we birth our work into the world. Yes, that was how you framed the question.
Yeah. Well, my own feeling is that in order to be able to contribute, I first need to have found a place of integrity in myself. So, and I'm realizing more and more how much work that involves. I think, up to a few weeks ago, for some reason, I sort of felt like I'd arrived at some point, that I wasn't actually searching anymore. And for some reason, that has now just all gone out the window. And I feel like my ideas have sort of all crumbled, and I'm beginning again. Really just asking who I am and how to be me. It's quite exciting, but it's also a bit freaky that somehow I see that I've actually wandered a long way from the work that I feel I need to do. So I think I was becoming a bit complacent about and sort of enjoying being. Yeah, so my perspective has now changed, and just feeling I need to really focus in a much more genuine way. And it's to do with finding in myself what I need, rather than looking for it outside. So thank you for that question.
Thanks, Anna.
The word need reminds me of deficiency need and being need. And I'm hopefully trying now to just find out what my being needs are. And for me, actually, Eros is still, what really gets me going, what really makes me creative. And so my loyalty belongs to Eros, if you want to put it that way. Yeah.
Could you explain that a bit? I don't really have an association with Eros. So.
Well, Eros started with the Big Bang, according to Ken Wilber. I'm just quoting Ken Wilber, but I feel that he is on the right track in this respect. Eros is love and agape all in one. Because if you really, and to me, if I don't get into touch with this energy, yeah, I'm not really genuine. But once I'm in touch with it, it's a kind of a flow. And then I know this is me. But the me is not the woman and the mother and the grandmother of 3. It's just something beyond the limits of time. So actually, as I mentioned before you came, there are quite excellent exercises for the causal body. And the causal body is without limit. It's the infinity body. And to be aware of that this is also part of yourself. Yeah, that's just where I am right now. And I'm delighted to be there, because before that it was just very, very strenuous and very miserable before I got here. It started a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. So there is a shift in time, in I don't know in what, but something has become different.
I would like to say something about Eros. As I have understood it, it is the driving force in the universe to go ahead. So what is driving evolution? What is driving us to go on and not to give up? This, I think we can reframe it as the concept of Eros. It's also sexuality, can be, but not only, it's much bigger. So I wonder, Luna, you have asked a question. I haven't heard you saying a lot about it.
I want to say I'm the little one, you're the big ones in the social order here today. Just as far as where I'm at in my journey. Yeah, thanks for asking. Oh, it's really good to hear from each of you. For myself, I'm in a process with it right now, and what I recently came to is that I've had a history of hiding, and it's not just in myself. I observed it in my mother and my grandmother, so a pattern, a family pattern. And one of my big tools is systemic family constellation work. And I had a beautiful opportunity to get to be a client and do a piece of work with one of my teachers. And what came forth was a very severe hate crime that happened in my grandmother's life. Someone very, very close to her when she was very young. It was a big trauma, and that's been passed along. And so it's been very difficult for me actually to feel like it's safe for me to bring all of who I am and all of my work into the world. And it's been a very interesting process also, being someone who started out just before the advent of technology being what it is, and us being able to connect in this way, and with social media and all of these platforms, and that being such a way of communicating now, and me realizing quite recently that actually for me with my work, it's been about the guidance that I receive and then my community or my clients or the people that I know, and word of mouth. That's how I do my work in the world. That's how I've done my work in the world. But I'm also feeling the call to do my work in the world in a bigger way. And so this was a really important piece of work that I did with my family. And this was just a few weeks ago. So I'm really feeling it working through my system right now. And I'm having new thoughts come in about ways that I do want to meet the world with my work. But yeah, I really feel like I'm in that learning space right now with it, and discovery, self-discovery, and really seeing that me, I don't remember who it is, but there was someone who said, if you don't bring all of who you are to the table, then someone else goes hungry. And sort of like we're each this delicious, delectable dish, and we have so much richness and flavor, and if we don't bring that to the sort of the buffet of life, then someone else might go hungry, or and that really is resonating with me right now. So it's really beautiful to hear from each of you, and what your processes are, and what your supports are for bringing your work forward, because it's actually been a really, really difficult thing for me previously, and I'm in a brand new space right now, and I'm not sure quite what that's going to look like. I think probably baby steps, but it's exciting. Yeah. And I'm just so I'm so sort of in awe of each of your journeys and hearing about them. And I feel like a little bit more today, just hearing a bit more of the breadth of what each of you do. It's sort of like I'm getting all the subtle flavors of your dishes. So I've been really enjoying that. Thank you for that. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. I'm wondering, Gertraud, if you want to say some more. It seems to me that you have been quite quiet too. So at least in the last half hour. Before we close, would be nice if everybody has something still important. We have only important things to say, so but go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking of the question that Monia placed to Tammy, is that people come to your world, or you go into the world and translate, so to say. And I think it's both. So when talking about Ken Wilber, it's about growing up, showing up, cleaning up, and waking up. And yeah, so it's not either or. It's like my personal development, showing up as who I am. And there is a sign, I think I said it already, the fire department here in our little town, they have a sign that says, "Without you, we are one too few." So that with this, if I'm not showing up, nobody else can do that for me. And also this like source, God, whoever you want to refer to, cannot express him, herself. I will say, it needs us to do that. And the more fully I do it, the better is the whole thing expressed. So so that is one part, and learning and growing for myself. This is like, yeah, or expressing. For me, learning has something to do with Eros, what you just were talking about. So really going into uncharted territory and finding my way through and getting the juice of it. And also agape, to reach down, or to other people, to lift them up. So I think it's the whole menu. It's not just one part of it. And maybe some are more for the dessert and others more for the entree. But I think to develop all those features, everything, that's for me an important thing. It's not I want to be enlightened, but I also want to grow. I also want to support others in their growth. And one tool that I didn't mention earlier, that was, for me, it made click, like Luna said about the constellation, it's appreciative inquiry. When I learned that, it was like no way back. Really going to what's already working, where the resources are, appreciating people and coming from there, and then having that full basket, and then facing the future and what I want to do with that and how to implement it. And maybe behind me, you see in this, on the wall, you see some little pictures. You cannot see what it is, but that is the process. Some weeks ago, we did an appreciative inquiry process with ourselves. And this is such a rich possibility to have that all, to learn together, to grow together, to translate for people that don't know exactly what I'm maybe talking about in some ways, but to translate it to their lives and how they can receive it. So, yeah. So I'm, as you said about Eros, this is where my heart sings, and where I really know that it works also for translating into the world. It works in one-on-one coaching, and it works with thousands of people. I know from a project, a regional project with 5,000 people. A successful project in South Africa for the region. So that's one of my sources of being in the world and making a difference in the world. Yeah, that's it for today.
So I'm wondering, how can we work together and not just talk about what we are doing, but somehow do it? I don't know that if it is possible, no, that everyone gives a little taste of what they are doing or how they are doing it, maybe 10, 15 minutes, or take a whole show for doing that. Just an idea to, we need to talk about that maybe after the broadcast. And I see, you know, a need to know more about what is, for instance, appreciative inquiry. I know that what is family constellation because I've done it, but there might be many people who really don't know what it is. And if you find a way to explain it, or Monia, the translation work into this causal body thing, you know, what is a causal body? We happen to have sort of an idea because we have Ken Wilber's books, you know, but somebody else might say, oh, what is that? And so on, you know. So, and Tammy, the alphabet code, I really wonderful. Or, you know, Anna, how you are doing this shift now, what you are doing, what tools you are using for yourself, what are the practices. I would be interested in let's say in the last half of this year, last half, we are already half through almost. If we could do something like that and talk about every approach we are having. I don't know what I will tell you, maybe about singing or about coaching or about learning how to live streaming, how to unmute Anna, for instance. I found the way. And things like that, you know. We can choose what we want to present, but yeah, I could, for instance, talking about the showing up thing, the topic I wanted to do in Hungary at the conference where we don't go now. So would also be a possibility. So yeah, for the moment, if there is something really burning still, what you want to say, because we are 8 minutes over the hour. So please do that, or we do a little checkout round, and then thank everybody who's watching now or later and is contributing for being here.
All right, so I do a quick checkout and want to present my appreciation for each and all of you. I have so many, I took a few notes, and I have so many questions, so maybe we just do as Heidi said and bring our essence or our flavor to the table and see how this enriches all of us. Thank you.
Well, what a wonderful way to start my birthday. Thank you. It's just such a pleasure to be with you all and to share this space. And I really wanted to thank Heidi for holding the space and for herding us cats and for investing in all of us. And yeah, it's such a pleasure to be with you all. So thank you.
And I'll just do a quick checkout. It's yeah, I feel so enriched by the diversity of, you know, how everybody has something which really means something deep to them. And it helps me because when I feel something deep, somehow there's a feeling that everybody should have this. But then I see that everybody has their own special jewel, which gives them so much. So it's just lovely to hear other people's precious tools that they have to help on this journey. So thank you very much.
Heidi, I also want to thank you for holding this space and creating this container where we can all meet. And it felt like it went really quickly today. And I think that's because I really am dropping into the richness. And so I love this idea to share more deeply, to hear more from each of you. Yeah, that excites me. So thank you for today. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I just wondered when our birthday is. I think we're beyond already of 1 year in Women Matters. So we could, when it all started, you're not only doing it, but over time. So this is really amazing, and I love how our conversations developed over time, and you are the holder of that space and contribute as well. And yes, I would love to hear from you and get more of the juice and also sure want to contribute. And we can make up our minds how we can do it in like condensed version for others, or we decide. I think to do the condensed version first, and then deciding maybe we would like to ponder on one of them for some more time. So we'll see.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, and it's great to see you all again.
Thank you very much. I'm very inspired every time we talk together. The same with the German-speaking group. It's really, how can I say, not only inspiring, it's energizing for me. And opening also mind and heart and everything. And that's, I think that's why I do it. Yeah, and let's talk after I stop the podcast. Please stay in and let's talk about how we go on, okay? So thank you, everybody, and the watchers. And if you are inspired to join us in some way or other, please contact us. Okay. The wisdomfactory.net is having a new, how do you say, outfit. And then you will find also the previous conversations. And actually, we are doing this almost 2 years now. It's amazing. Thank you for the founders who were there for all the time. Okay, see you next month in June.